So in this question, we have a trigonometric function given by sine 3x minus sine x divided by sine x. So we have to determine its limiting value when x approaches 0. Clearly this particular function has, the limiting value of this particular trigonometric function is of the form 0 over 0, which is an indeterminate form. So what we have to do is we have to simplify it. Now we know in the numerator we have the form sine A minus sine B. So that will be equals to 2 times cosine of A plus B over 2 times sine A minus B over 2. So let's use it. So we have limit x approaching 0. So we have 2 times cosine of 3x plus x, which is 4x. So we have 4x divided by 2 times sine thrice x minus x will be twice x divided by 2 whole divided by sine x, which is equals to limit x approaching 0. We have 2 times cosine of 2x multiplied by sine of x divided by sine of x. So the sine of x gets cancelled from both the numerator and the denominator. Then we apply the limiting value of x. So we have 2 times cosine of 0. Cosine of 0 is 1. So the limiting value of the given trigonometric function is 2 when x approaches 0. Let us do another problem. So we have sine 5x minus sine 3x divided by sine x. So this is similar to the previous problem, so we can apply the identity and rewrite the numerator as 2 times cosine of 5x plus 3x is 8x over 2 times sine 5x minus 3x is going to be 2x divided by 2 whole divided by sine x. So which will be equals to limit x approaching 0, 2 times cosine of 4x multiplied by sine x divided by sine x. So the sine x gets cancelled from both the numerator and the denominator, and that leaves us with 2 times the cosine of 4x. Now we substitute for the value of x. That gives us 2 times cosine of 0. Cosine of 0 being 1. So we have the limiting value of the given function is 2 when x approaches 0. Let us do another problem. So here also we will rewrite the numerator as 2 times cosine of, so we have 2 plus x plus 2 minus x divided by 2 times sine 2 plus x minus 2 minus x divided by 2 whole thing divided by x, which is equals to limit x approaching 0, 2 over x times cosine of, so we have 2 plus x plus 2 minus x, so the x and x gets cancelled. That leaves us with 4 over 2. So we have cosine of 2 multiplied by sine. So the 2 and 2 will get cancelled. So we have twice x divided by 2. So that will be equals to sine x. So we have 2 times cosine of 2, which is a constant, times limit x approaching 0 sine x over x. So by definition, the limiting value of sine x over x is 1. So we have 2 times cosine of 2. So this is going to be the limiting value of the given function when x approaches 0. Let us do another problem. So here we have the function cosine of 3x minus cosine of 5x over x squared. So let us apply cosine of A minus cosine of b is given by -2 times sine a plus b over 2 times sine a minus b over 2. So that our numerator now becomes limit x going to 0. We have -2 times sine, so 3x plus 5x will be 8x. So we have 8x divided by 2, so that's 4x, times sine a minus b, so 3x, so that will give us -2x over 2, so that is simply x, divided by x squared. Now we know the sign of negative x is equals to negative sign of x, so that takes care of the negative sign. So we have x tending to 0, so we can take the 2 in the front. So we have sine 4x times sine x divided by x times x. Now we are going to multiply the denominator, which is x, by 4, and also multiply by 4. So that is going to give us 2 times 4 is 8. So we have limit x tending to 0 sine 4x over 4x multiplied to the second limit, which is limit x tending to 0 sine x over x, which is equals to 8, because the limiting value of sine 4x over 4x is 1, so is the limiting value of sine x over x. Let's go to the next problem. So here we have the trigonometric function secant of 5x minus secant of 3x divided by secant of 3x minus secant of x. So we know that the secant function is the reciprocal of the cosine function. So let's rewrite each term, so each of the secant function in terms of the cosine function. So we have 1 over cosine of 5x minus 1 over cosine of 3x divided by 1 over cosine of 3x minus 1 over cosine of x. So which can be further simplified into limit x approaching 0. So we have cosine of 3x minus cosine of 5x divided by cosine of 5x times cosine of 3x, whole divided by cosine of x minus cosine of 3x divided by cosine of 3x times cosine of x. So rearranging, we get limit x tends to 0. So we have cosine of 3x minus cosine of 5x divided by cosine of x minus cosine of 3x times cosine of 3x times cosine of x divided by cosine of 5x times cosine of 3x. So we can cancel out cosine of 3x from the numerator and the denominator, and we have limit x tending to 0. So we apply the identity, which is 2 times sine 3x plus 5x, which is 8x. 8x divided by 2 will give us 4x. So we have sine 4x times sine b minus a, which is 5x minus 3x, that's 2x, divided by 2 will give us sine x, whole divided by 2 times sine x plus 3x will be 4x, so 4x divided by 2 will give us sine 2x, times sine 3x minus x will be twice x, so twice x divided by 2 will be simply sine x, times cosine of x divided by cosine of 5x. So the sine x gets cancelled from both the numerator and the denominator, and so does 2. So now we have limit x tending to 0. So we have sine 4x here. So we're going to divide and multiply by 4x. And we have sine 2x in the denominator. So we are going to multiply and divide by 2x times cosine of x divided by cosine of 5x. So here we can cancel x in the numerator and the denominator. So that leaves us with 4 over 2, which is 2. So now we apply the limit individually to each of the functions. So we have limit x going to 0 sine 4x over 4x. So this is going to be our first limit. Then we have the second limit, limit x approaching 0, 2x over sine 2x. This is the second limit. And the third limit will be limit x approaching 0, the sine of x divided by cosine of 5x. So we have 2 times. So the limiting value of sine 4x over 4x when x approaches 0 is 1. Similarly, for the second limit we have 1. And for the third limit we have cosine of 0 divided by cosine of 5 times 0, which is 0. So that gives us 2. So this is the limiting value of the given function when x approaches 0. So here we have a trigonometric function 1 minus cosine of 2x divided by cosine of 2x minus cosine of 8x. So we first change the numerator, so that will be 1 minus cosine of 2x is equals to 2 times sine squared of x divided by, so we have cosine of 2x minus cosine of 8x, so that will be equals to 2 times sine 10x over 2 times sine 6x over 2, which will be equals to limit x approaching 0 to sine squared x divided by 2 sine 5x times sine 3x. The 2 and 2 gets cancelled. Now we're going to arrange the remaining terms. So we have sine squared x that can be written as sine x times sine x. So we have sine x over x, we got to multiply by x, sine x over x, we have to multiply by x as well. So we have sine 5x, so that will be 5x in the numerator and divided by 5x times sine 3x. So we multiply by 3x and divide by 3x. Now we can get rid of all the common terms. So the x and x will become x squared, so that cancels out the x from 5x and 3x. So this 5 and 3 gets multiplied, and that leaves us with 1 over 15. So this is going to be the value, because the limiting value of each of the functions are going to be equals to 1. So we have sin x over x, sin x over x, 5x over sin 5x, and 3x over sin 3x. So all this limiting value will be equals to 1. That leaves us with 1 over 15.